Hello there, welcome to the garden. Today I want to talk all about the seeds, the vegetable seeds that I'm going to be direct sowing this year, because I know it's seed shopping season and it's kind of the time for planting. So I thought I would share with you just like what I'm growing and my plans, or what I'm planning to grow anyways, because definitely not direct sowing anything right now. It is still very cold January here, but we have a little bit of a warmer day. It's actually really sunny out, which is so nice. So my plan is to come out here and just open up the greenhouse, make sure I vent it a little bit so that the seedlings that I have in there don't get overheated. And I'm also going to make sure I can, like, if any of them need water, that I get them watered. So let me just open this up. I'm not gonna fully roll it up. I think I'm just gonna kind of vent. You know, it's not great to have an air conditioner right here, but I can use it to sort of vent the greenhouse a little bit. Let's see what the temperature is right now. Yeah, see, it's almost 100 in there Fahrenheit, and the sun hasn't even fully hit it yet. So definitely gotta open this thing up. And I'm just gonna check in here. These are all my seedlings that I'm kind of winter sowing. So far, it's still just the bachelor buttons that are germinating, but they're germinating and looking really good. Oh, a little bit of germination over here. Let's see what this guy is. That is, oh, my Artbright Ruby violas are starting to germinate. So that's exciting to see. So slowly but surely, this is taking off. Okay, I'm gonna leave that kind of vented too. I've kept the humidity dome on, one for the moisture for the seedlings, but also just because I don't want like any squirrels or anything to get in there. Just want to make sure the peas, oh, the peas are starting to sprout. Even, oh my gosh, these keep, for some reason, the soil keeps shifting in these grow bags and the peas keep getting uncovered, but you can see that they're sprouting. And it looks like this is strawberries that I've got under here. It looks like these are still nice and moist, so I don't need to water those. All right, I'm just gonna tuck this in, keep all the squirrels out of everything. All right, and let's go inside and let's talk about seeds for next season. So much fun. Is there anything better than chatting about seeds? I have so many things that I'm really excited to grow. All right, let's go through all of the seeds that I'm gonna be planning on direct sowing once we're past our last frost. Now, this isn't actually that many seeds, and now that I've laid them out, I am planning on really starting a lot of my seeds indoors, mostly to help with some of the pest pressure. I have a lot of snails in my area and slugs, and they tend to just love eating seedlings, so I end up putting down a lot of slug bait. I'm sure I'm still gonna have to put down slug bait, but I'm trying to start a lot of things. Like, I may just do a few little 6-pack trays with different things for a month or two, not a month or two, a week or two, indoors or in the unheated greenhouse, and then plant them out for a lot of plants. Some things like, I'm trying to think of a good example, like cucamelons. They take a little while to get going. I could totally direct sow them, and I have done it in the past, but just to avoid messing with any like pest issues or anything like that while they're getting started, I'm gonna start a lot of things like that inside. But I do have a few things that I plan on direct sowing. Probably the biggest category is squash, because squash just benefits so much from just being sowed in place. They're really big seedlings too, so I tend to have a little bit less issue. I'm not gonna say that slugs won't eat them, because they definitely will, but I tend to have like slightly less of an issue with slugs eating them, and they just do so much better. I've done like the side-by-side compare and contrast and planted, you know, transplant versus the seed, and the seeds do better. So I have quite a few different squash, and some of them I'm going to be growing in containers, and then some I'm going to be growing in my raised beds. So I definitely have a mix between containers and raised beds, and I'll kind of talk through where I'm planting all of these things and like which category, why I'm deciding on whether they are going to go in a container or a raised bed, etc., etc. So, okay, let me grab out the squash that are gonna be going in containers. I am going to do this, possibly, if I have room, I'm going to do this Table King. It's a winter squash and an acorn squash. I've never grown this one before, but it's a more compact plant. So it's actually kind of bred to do well in a smaller space, and it does well in containers. So the 4-foot vines are pretty compact, perfect for small gardens and containers. That's me. So I'm gonna try to find a space. I think I might try to do this in one of my grow bags. I think that would be perfect. I have 15-gallon grow bags, so that's a pretty sizable grow bag, and it's the perfect kind of container for something like squash like this. I've grown zucchinis and things in grow bags and had really good luck with it. And this is 1 to 2 weeks after your last frost, so that'll be perfect. A wonderful long storage. It's in All American Selections winner. Tried and true, like really good variety. So going to get that going once we get past our last frost. I also have for grow bags this zucchini, which I have grown in grow bags last year. It is the Dunja F1 OG. It's a hybrid zucchini, classic green looking zucchini, basically. Pretty normal flavor, tastes like just like a zucchini you get at the store. It looks like a zucchini you get at the store. But it's a nice, like really prolific variety. I had trouble growing squash, and I finally was like, I'm gonna go get a hybrid, high production, like high yielding squash. I just want to get squash. You know, I have such limited space and sunlight, so I just opted for the highest yielding, best production kind of hybrid plant, and this was really good. I grew this in a grow bag. It was one of the only things I should say, speak more specific, only squash that really produced for me in a grow bag. So I did grow a couple other squash in grow bags, did not have luck, but this zucchini grew really well in a grow bag. So I'm gonna do that again. That should be good. I'm really gonna heavily amend those grow bags with compost as well, because squash are such heavy feeders. You just wanna make sure they get enough food, and that can always be an issue in containers because there's just a limited amount of space. Then I'm going to grow another one that I have grown before. This one I'm going to do in the raised beds. I have a nice, really sunny spot in a raised bed, and I loved this squash. I grew this in my community garden plot a couple years ago. It is a Sunburst F1. It's a patty pan squash. It grows these beautiful yellow with like flecks of green, little patty pan squashes. So good for eating. So anytime, like anywhere that you would eat zucchini, like I put them in sauces, I put them in salads, pastas, anything like that, I would put in this patty pan squash. It's a little bit sweeter and a little bit nuttier, and it honestly, I like the flavor better than a zucchini. I'm still gonna grow zucchini just to have zucchini, but I would rather eat patty pan squash, and these are so good. So I'm gonna give it like a real prime spot in one of my raised beds because I think it's gonna be so good. It does get to be quite a sizable plant. So, you know, I wanna make sure it has space, but Sunburst F1 patty pan. Just such a good variety, so delicious. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So delicious and really prolific too. I mean, I got so much squash off of it. Those are ones that they grow fast. You know, in the summer, it was producing, and you had to be out there harvesting them quick because there were just so many fruits coming off the vine. It was wonderful. Then I have a couple that I'm like sort of a little bit on the fence as to where I want to grow them. One of them is the early prolific straight neck squash. I basically got this one because it said early prolific in the name, and I thought that was nice. How many days? It's an 85 days to harvest. And it's a really prolific. It produces insane amounts of straight neck squash that resembles zucchini. Again, having the prolific kind of aspect is a little bit tricky in grow bags. Sometimes the plants just don't produce quite as much fruit. So I want to try this one possibly in a grow bag and see if, even if it produces less because it's such a prolific variety, it'll kind of even out, you know, kind of like meet in the middle and cut that distance. So that's what I'm gonna try with this. It's highly recommended, very heat tolerant and very drought tolerant. So that is good too because, or somewhat drought tolerant it says, because grow bags can get a little bit, you know, they can dry out. I try to stay on top of it. We do get a fair amount of rain here in Virginia, but we get a lot of heat and humidity, so it's good that it's heat tolerant, and sometimes in grow bags things get a little drier, so that should be interesting. If I can find space in one of my grow bags, I want to try that one. And then I also have a grow bag that has a trellis in it, and I would like to grow this. This is a Bossa Nova. It's a hybrid Bossa Nova seed, and I want to try these kind of. They're like that. What does a Bossa Nova look like? I'll put a picture. But I want to try these growing up the trellis, see if I can do some trellising with them and get them growing vertically. Obviously, space is always a concern in my garden, so trying to grow them vertically up the trellis should be the best possible option. So that's the biggest category for me, squash. I'm also going to grow from seed some corn. I put this in the veggie category because corn is technically a veggie, but I really grow corn as an ornamental. I like to put corn in containers, kind of like as that grassy texture, ornamental. I do not expect to be harvesting corn, like full-size corn stalks off any of these. And that's why they're mostly decorative plants. So I have this Martian Jewels, which should be really, really pretty as an ornamental because it's got these like red stalks and husks, which I haven't seen that in a squash. There are some really, really pretty, not squash, a corn. There are some really pretty corn varieties out there. I think it's called the Japonica. It's like a multicolored corn stalk corn that I've grown in the past that is beautiful, but I thought this would be really striking, like a really good addition as a thriller in a container. Similar along that vein, broom corn. This is what brooms are made of, the top. It's like this top plume that comes off the top of the corn stalk. Broom corn is gorgeous. So I picked up a broom corn. It's hard to say over and over again. Say broom corn 10 times fast. Oh my gosh. Mix. And I think that'll be pretty. I may try, I want to edge one of my raised beds with corn. I think it'd be beautiful. I don't quite know if that's gonna work, but I will definitely put some in containers. And I also picked up some glass gem corn. I don't think that these have a particularly decorative like stalk or husk or anything, but the corn itself is pretty. I might grow this. I possibly am going to have a community garden plot this summer, so I may grow this in there. We'll see, but I just picked it up to have it. Glass gem corn is just gorgeous. I mean, that's so pretty. I love growing corn. I love growing corn. It's fun. You can start corn kind of like midsummer and have little short corn in containers for the fall. You can grow it. I've grown it even in part shade. And basically what happens, like when you grow the corn in part shade or you grow it in a container, which is what I'm going to be doing, let's be honest, it's definitely going to be in part shade. It just doesn't get as tall. So these are not going to be 6-foot corn stalks in my garden. They'll be more like 3 feet, but they do put off little ears. They tend to be super cute. It's kind of like sunflowers. When you grow sunflowers close together, they tend to just be shorter and not like reach their full huge height. So that's kind of a similar thing if you're thinking about adding corn to like not a fully sunny space, or if you pack it close together or put it in container. It's going to grow. It's just not going to get as big. All right, so then I have a few other things. Let me do the cucumbers. Okay, let's talk about cucumbers. So I have struggled with cucumbers. Last year, I was like, this is the year of the cucumber. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna grow cucumbers. I tried so many varieties with very, very limited success. I did find one variety that is great. And this year I have pared it down to just 2 kinds of cucumbers. I'm just sticking with these 2 and we will see how they do. And that's what we're doing. Okay, so what I learned about growing cucumbers in my garden, part shade again, is that the hybrid cucumber salad bush is the way to go. I have all my other cucumbers. They either like didn't put off fruit, barely flowered, didn't grow, looked terrible, got humidity issues. Not this baby. This thing produced and produced and produced. I harvested cucumber after cucumber after cucumber. So I'm going to do some of these in a raised bed, probably. I think give them a nice kind of prime spot and just let them do their thing, because oh my gosh, like what what a great variety. I really don't need to grow any other cucumber because, like, well, one, I can't. They kind of just don't grow in my garden, but this is just such an amazing variety. So I'm gonna do that. It is one of those cucumbers. So some cucumbers need to have bees to pollinate and some are like self-pollinating. They've been kind of developed, I guess, for like greenhouses and things that don't have pollinators. So my just like philosophy, or I kind of like what I think is a good thing to do if you're having trouble with cucumbers, is to get some of those ones that that don't need pollinators, just to kind of like take that like one element of your cucumber growing off the table. They don't need pollinators. They can just grow, flower, and produce cucumbers on their own. And so then at least you don't have to worry about that. So that worked out. This is an amazing, amazing variety. And then this is another self-pollinating one, and this is called Diva. And this is a more vining. So the salad bush definitely creates like a short bushy vine. This is not like that huge rambling cucumber vine. This one is going to be a more standard kind of cucumber vine. And I'm going to grow this up a trellis, and I've never grown it before, so we'll just kind of see, but I'm excited to give that one a try. I decided to just limit myself to the two. Cucumbers are not the most expensive thing at the store, so honestly, you know, might as well just buy them and enjoy them, and I'll grow a couple in the garden and that'll be enough. Then I have, okay, this isn't technically a vegetable, but you can eat it, so sort of falls in this category. Some nasturtiums. You have to have nasturtiums. This is an apricot nasturtium, so I was just excited because I'm all about the apricot colors this year. I'm growing so many apricot flowers. Hopefully my garden won't be too just like one-toned apricot, but we'll see how it goes. And I found this apricot nasturtium. These are going to be grown in a raised bed. I'll probably stick a couple into containers, but just more particularly, I have this like kind of part shade raised bed, and I want something that can do pretty well in that. This should do okay in that. It can grow in part sun. And so I just thought, you know what, to grow a pretty flower that's also edible would be perfect in that little part sun section. But I have grown nasturtiums in containers so many times, and they're absolutely wonderful container plants. They grow beautifully. One of my favorite container combinations I've ever done, and I may end up doing it again, was a little dwarf kind of a miniature tomato plant, some basil, and nasturtiums. Like those three plants together in a container is like the most beautiful edible container. It's just such a great combination. I'll probably do a container like that again just because I love it so much. But these should just be really, really pretty. I'm very excited. I hunted around to find apricot nasturtium seeds because I just wanted that color. Another thing that's going to grow in that bed is this New Zealand spinach. It kind of can do well in the more part shady environment of that shady-ish bed. And this kind of helps. It's a little salad green. I don't know if it's a true spinach. It's a substitute for spinach. It really tastes like spinach, and it's heat tolerant. So when all the other greens don't, you know, grow because they're just bolting and flowering, this New Zealand spinach will grow and it'll handle the heat. Let's see, it is actually a perennial in zone 8 and warmer, so not for me. But it's also, here's what's cool, it's also not bothered by slugs or snails. So I think that'll be really awesome. And it's very high in vitamin C, apparently. I tend to have slugs and snails, and lettuce tends to have trouble in my summer heat. So I'm gonna do this. I have actually grown it before, and it grows really well, and it's a nice little thing to be able to add to your salads. I don't know that I would eat like a whole salad just of this as my only green, but you can definitely supplement your salads or like throw it on a sandwich or something like that, and it's just totally delicious. So very excited to get that one going. And then I have just two other things. So one is a birdhouse gourd. I'm sure you've seen these, like those gourds that you can hollow out and make birdhouses out of. I have this, you know, just fantasy that I'm going to be crafting birdhouses and painting them with the girls in the fall if all goes according to plan. Again, I will heavily amend this grow bag to make sure it really has a lot of compost, a lot of nutrients, because this is another vining crop, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be very hungry. But yeah, I'm going to actually grow it in a grow bag, and then I will take the cover off of my little greenhouse. In the summer, I take that off. I hope to grow it over the structure of the little greenhouse and have it be kind of like this whimsical little house kind of thing. I hope it works out. I hope it looks good. It should be a really pretty, beautiful vine with the gourds hanging down. That should be gorgeous. That's the plan. So I'm excited. I'm just gonna direct sow that. The last thing that I have in my direct sowing seeds are these All-American parsnips. So I've never grown parsnips before, but this is almost for like really my like fall winter garden, because you don't harvest them till after the first frost, but you do need to sow them. I believe 4 months, it says 4 months before your first frost. So my first frost is the end of October. So that means like somewhere in June, I'm gonna need to sow these. It does not say, it says not recommended to start inside. And what else was there about it? I think that's just about it. So I don't know yet exactly where I'm gonna do it. Maybe if there's like a hole in one of my raised beds, it starts to open up around the end of June. You know, I don't know, if I'm trying to think what I've got growing in there. Like if I've harvested all my green onions that I had in one area or something, I will pop this in there for the fall garden. So already thinking ahead to the fall garden, but I'm excited to try it. As I said, I've never grown parsnips. I don't even know if I like parsnips, but it's something fun to grow and something fun to try. So anyways, those are my direct sow seeds. As I said, not very many. Again, because I'm starting a lot of things inside and also because I just have a small little garden. But super fun to be thinking about. Oh my gosh, I don't know, on a winter day, to be thinking about being able to direct sow. That seems far away, but I know it's gonna creep up on us super fast. And yeah, I'm so ready to plant. It's gonna be good. Thank you so much for watching this video, hanging out, talking seeds with me, my favorite thing. Let me know if there's something you're super excited about direct sowing. You never know, I might have room. I think I'm done seed shopping, but I could be convinced to do a little bit more. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.